The day started like any other at Patterson Market, a mid-sized grocery store tucked between a rundown laundromat and a payday loan place on the edge of Jefferson City. The kind of place people didn't look twice at. The automatic doors groaned. The floors buzzed with flickering, fluorescent lights, and the workers moved like ghosts seen but never heard. Bryce Winters, 29, scanned items with the speed of someone who didn't want to think. Click, beep, bag. Click, beep, bag. He kept his head down. That's how you lasted here. Management didn't like questions. And assistant manager Donna, well, she liked reminding people who really had the power. Bryce had only been at the store 2 months. A college dropout who'd once dreamed of opening a bakery, he now shelved expired cereal and replaced mop heads in the break room. Still, he wasn't bitter. Just quiet and watching. That Thursday afternoon, during the lull between food stamps and payday, a customer caught his attention. An older man, scruffy beard, coat 2 sizes too big, jeans torn at the knee, stood in aisle 3, reading the back of a soup can like it held secrets. He had a plastic bag clutched in one hand, his cart nearly empty, a pack of ramen, off-brand peanut butter, and a can of beans. Bryce noticed him again 10 minutes later at the self-checkout. The screen blinked red. The man patted his pockets, then pulled out a crumpled 5 and a handful of coins. "Sorry," he mumbled to the machine. "That's all I got." Donna swooped in like she smelled weakness. "Sir, if you can't cover the balance, I'll have to void the transaction." He looked at her, confused. "Can I just put something back? Maybe the no returns once scanned." Her voice was ice. "You either pay or leave the items." The man's shoulders dropped. He began to lift the peanut butter. Bryce walked over, pulled out his debit card, and tapped it. "It's fine. I got it." The old man looked up slowly, eyes moist with surprise. "You sure?" "Yeah," Bryce said. "Eat something real tonight." He didn't expect to thank you, but the man just looked at him like he was memorizing something, then said softly, "Something's come back to you." In the break room later, Donna cornered Bryce near the vending machine. "What was that back there?" she hissed. "A kindness," he said, chewing a peanut butter bar. "Not your job. You made us look soft. We're not a damn shelter." Bryce didn't reply. He didn't need to. That's how things worked at Patterson Market. Management cared more about shrink than stories, more about loss prevention than lost people. The next day, a man in his 40s walked through the front doors of the store. Clean-cut, gray wool, coat, slacks, polished shoes. He looked around, expression unreadable. Then he nodded once and headed straight for the office upstairs. No one recognized him, especially not Donna. Meanwhile, Bryce was on pallet duty, restocking canned goods, dragging pallets heavier than his paycheck. As he was stacking green beans, a voice said, "Hey, you got a minute?" He turned. The man from the night before, cleaned up now, trim beard, crisp dress shirt. Only the eyes remained the same, soft, sharp, watching. Yeah, Bryce said, unsure. The man stepped closer. "That was decent of you, what you did. Helping someone without expecting anything." Bryce chuckled nervously. "Well, karma's a thing, right? You believe that?" Bryce looked away. "I want to." The man smiled faintly. "Tell me, how long you been here?" 2 months. "You like it?" Bryce hesitated. "It's a job. Would you take something better if it came along?" Another pause. "I mean, who wouldn't?" The man extended a hand. "Name's Henry." "Bryce." Henry gripped his hand firm. "Good to meet you, Bryce." Then he left. Later that day, Donna stormed into the break room, pale and fuming. "Corporate's here," she spat. "Some audit thing." Bryce looked up. "What kind of audit?" "The kind where they ask too many questions. So watch your mouth." That evening, the usual rhythm of the store fell apart. Department heads were pulled into the office. Schedules shifted. Whispers floated between aisles. Donna was no longer barking orders. She was pacing, sweating. By closing time, a strange energy hummed through the place. Bryce felt it in his bones. And then, just before the final register shut down, a voice came over the PA. Bryce Winters, please report to the office upstairs. Upstairs, the lights were dim. A single desk lamp illuminated the room. Donna sat rigid in a chair, arms folded tight. Beside her, Henry stood with a file folder in hand. Bryce blinked. You asked for me? Henry nodded. Come in. Sit. Bryce sat. He noticed the logo on the folder. Not just the store's name, but the name of its parent. Company Devereaux Holdings. Henry opened the folder. Do you know who I am? Bryce swallowed. Henry. Henry chuckled. Yes, but also Henry Devereaux, CEO of this entire chain. Silence. Donna made a choking sound. Bryce leaned back, stunned. Wait. You were the guy with the soup can. Henry nodded. Sometimes I do this. Disappear for a while. See who shows their true face. Donna stiffened. Sir, I didn't know it was. You didn't need to know. Henry interrupted, cold now. I saw everything I needed. Your tone. Your policy enforcement. Your willingness to humiliate someone over $3. Donna stood. I was just doing my job. Your job, Henry said sharply, was to treat customers with dignity. Your job was to lead, not intimidate. He turned to Bryce. You, on the other hand. Bryce shifted uncomfortably. I wasn't trying to impress anyone. That's exactly why you did, Henry replied. You acted with compassion when there was no audience. That matters to me. Bryce didn't know what to say. Henry continued. Starting Monday, you'll be working out of our regional training center too. Town's over. Assistant manager role. Better pay. Growth track. Donna's mouth fell open. Wait, you're promoting him? Henry looked at her. Deadpan. No, Donna. I'm replacing you. The next morning, Bryce packed his locker in silence. He didn't gloat, didn't boast, just zipped up his coat and said a quiet goodbye to the place that taught him people don't need power to make an impact. Outside, a cold wind pushed against his jacket. As he approached the bus stop, a woman stepped beside him, cradling a child in one arm and a receipt in the other. She was struggling to count coins, brow furrowed. Bryce reached into his wallet and pulled out a $5. The woman looked up, startled. He smiled. Just pay it forward. She nodded, eyes misty. Thank you. As Bryce turned to catch his bus, he felt it again. That same feeling from days ago. Like something bigger was watching, measuring. But what he didn't see, what he couldn't have seen, was the black SUV parked quietly across the street. Inside it, a man in a dark suit watched him through tinted glass. On the dash, a document with Bryce's name circled in red. He lifted his phone. Yeah, he said, we found him. And you're not gonna like what he knows. The day the memo appeared on his desk, transfer recommendation. Bryce Winters, not a team fit. Bryce didn't get angry. He smiled, not out of amusement, but because he had them. Everything was backed up. Audio, printed records, even CCTV timestamps. He wasn't just a pawn anymore. He was bait, and he knew it. But the part they hadn't counted on? He was ready to burn the board. That night, in a quiet diner with fluorescent lights flickering overhead, Bryce met with Henry Devereaux again. Henry took off his coat, eyes tired but sharp. You got it. Bryce slid a small hard drive across the table. Every meeting, every threat, every lie. Henry looked at the drive like it held dynamite. Are you sure you want to go through with this? Once this drops, you won't be anonymous anymore. I'm not trying to be, Bryce said. They already targeted me. They just didn't think I'd fight back. Henry exhaled, nodding slowly. Then you're ready. 3 days later, the hammer fell. A whistleblower report was filed anonymously to the Department of Labor. Simultaneously, local news stations received a leak, complete with time-stamped evidence, internal emails, and testimony from multiple store employees who had quietly joined Bryce's effort. A story broke. Patterson Market accused of systemic retaliation against ethical employees. Calder Rowe was suspended pending investigation. By the end of the week, he resigned, quietly, without ceremony, his golden parachute revoked. But that wasn't the end. Henry wasn't interested in a single scapegoat. He wanted change. "Let's fix the system that protected him," he told Bryce. Together, they overhauled manager evaluation criteria across the entire chain. No longer were bonuses based solely on profits and shrink. Now, employee well-being, customer satisfaction, and ethical behavior held equal weight. Training manuals were rewritten. An anonymous ethics hotline was established, staffed by a third party, and a new position was created, integrity liaison, a rotating role given to employees from the floor, like Bryce once was. The first person to hold that role? Bryce Winters. Not everyone cheered. Some saw him as a snitch, a plant, a corporate golden boy. But most knew the truth, because Bryce didn't just sit behind a desk. He showed up. When one of the janitors was docked pay for clocking in 5 minutes late after her daughter had a seizure, he stepped in personally. When a manager mocked a teen cashier's stutter during a staff meeting, Bryce had him removed by day's end. And when Donna tried to reapply under a new last name, he caught it. "Tell her we're not hiring cruelty in disguise," he told HR. One cold February morning, nearly 6 months after Rowe had fallen, Bryce stood in the same grocery store where it all began. Patterson Market, Jefferson City. It looked the same, but it didn't feel the same. Donna's scowl had been replaced by a younger manager who greeted customers by name. There were free samples again. The staff wore actual smiles. Near the soup aisle, an older man browsed slowly, his cart filled halfway. It took Bryce a second to recognize him. The stranger from the very beginning. The man who'd fumbled with coins and walked out with a bag full of kindness instead of shame. The man looked up. Their eyes met. "You again," the man said, surprised. Bryce walked over, extending a hand. "Looks like we've both cleaned up a bit." The man chuckled. "I'd say so." A pause. "Hey," the man added quietly. "That day, it helped me more than you know." Bryce nodded. "You helped me too." They didn't say much more. They didn't have to. Some moments speak for themselves. As Bryce exited the store, his phone buzzed. It was Henry. "You still up for that panel next week?" he asked. "Ethics in everyday workplaces?" Bryce asked. "Yeah, I'll be there." Henry paused. "You ever think we'll get it right? The whole system." Bryce looked out at the street. People were rushing by, arms full of groceries. Kids in tow, tired. Cashiers heading to late buses. Just regular people surviving. "We won't fix everything," he said. "But if we change how people get treated when no one's watching, that's a start." A long pause. Then Henry said, softly, "You turned one small act into a movement." Bryce smiled faintly. "No, I just didn't ignore it." He ended the call and slid the phone into his coat pocket. The air was cold but calm. The streetlights hummed quietly. A child laughed across the road. Somewhere inside the store, a cashier cracked a joke and a customer actually laughed. And for the first time in years, Bryce felt something settle deep in his chest. Not pride, not revenge, peace. Because kindness didn't need a witness to be real. And sometimes, doing the right thing when no one's looking changes everything. When everyone finally sees.